I love this young lady. I got a lot of confidence in her, so no pressure. No pressure, young lady. This girl I am a gigantic fan of. We asked every speaker, tell me 3 things that you're most proud of. What are 3 things in your life you're most proud of? These are cute. So she's very proud to be married to her high school sweetheart and to become a mom. Now, I'll hit on some other stuff here. She learned to play golf, and she conquered her fear of public speaking by doing a TED Talk. And she's a phenomenal singer, and her husband's a phenomenal rapper who actually toured with ICP. He's straight gangster. And I'll find one of their tracks. It's pretty amazing. She's a fantastic singer, a fantastic mom, and an even more fantastic realtor, Tina Caul.
All right, let me make sure I can see this. I don't have my readers on. Okay, here we go. Am I doing this right? No. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm going to get vulnerable today. I'm going to talk about something that I'm struggling with right now, which is leadership. So I started my real estate team back in 2014, and there have been many, many fuck-ups. Most of us start in this journey at the same time. Raise your hand if you have your real estate license. Good, I'm in the right room. So we start with our real estate license and we move towards being a solo agent. Now, some of us stay a solo agent for a really long time, and that's great. Some of us, we leverage those high-performance real estate teams because we don't want to run a business. We just want to have more leverage. And then some of us in that solo agent stage, we get to a point where the success grows and you start to hit a max in your performance. Maybe it's 60 deals, maybe it's 80 deals, maybe it's 100 deals. For me, it was about 130 transactions per year, and I lost my love of the business. I felt like I had become a robot. And so based on that, I thought, well, I have to start a team. I mean, that's what normal people do, right? So we ventured down this journey to start a team. Now, in my mind, there are 3 things we have to master, regardless of we're a solo agent or on a team or a team leader or an independent brokerage. We have to master the first thing, which is systems. Everybody has to have a system for something. Kyle was just talking about it. We have to have technology leverage, right? So systems leverage, technology leverage. And the third thing is people leverage. And I think the third thing is what most of us mess up the most. It's the people. When I became a team leader, I didn't have an HR background. I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know how to fire people, and I didn't want to. I didn't know how to give proper feedback. I didn't know how to do a lot of things, especially interpersonal skills. So you start to go down that journey, and there's a lot of mess ups, and you're just vulnerable to not knowing what you don't know. Now, we're going to talk today about some of the mess ups that are going on literally right now in my team, some of the failing forward things that we're doing right now. And one of them is hiring. So I'm going to take you back to my first hire, which was my EA, Jenna. So along comes Jenna. Here I am, new agent, building a team. I have 1 buyer's agent. And on paper, Jenna looked amazing. I mean, her resume was fire. And I'm like, ooh, this lady, she's my organizational unicorn. I'm gonna be so excited. So I hire Jenna and I bring her in and I do what all of us do. We have them shadow us. So she shadows me for 2 weeks. I show her our systems. I show her our processes. I show her our technology. I show her our projects. And basically I give her complete autonomy and I'm like, Jenna, the floor is yours. Tell me what's wrong with me, poke holes, fix me. That's your job. And so in my mind, how it was supposed to look was, Jenna walks into my office one morning and says, hey boss, hey, you know that Google Drive? I literally cleaned it up for you last night. You're gonna be able to find everything. It's perfect. I hate Google Drive. And remember all those projects that you showed me? I cleaned them all up for you. I know you like spreadsheets to look at them, but I color-coded them because you're very visual. Now you're going to see where everybody's tracking in real time. And so in my mind, how it was supposed to look was, Jenna walks into my office one morning and says, hey boss, hey, you know that Google Drive? I literally cleaned it up for you last night. You're going to be able to find everything. It's perfect. I hate Google Drive. And remember all those projects that you showed me? I cleaned them all up for you. I know you like spreadsheets to look at them, but I color-coded them because you're very visual. Now you're going to see where everybody's tracking in real time. And I noticed when we were onboarding that every morning you get an oat milk cappuccino with 2 pumps of vanilla, so I put one on your desk for you. I hope you don't mind. Doesn't that sound amazing? That is what I wanted Jenna to do. What I actually got was knock, knock, knock on Jenna's door. I walk in, and there's this frazzled human sitting at her desk. The desk is a mess. There are piles of notebooks on her desk, sticky notes everywhere, and when I looked over at her desk, she had opened up a notebook, and she had drawn in pencil 10 little boxes, and then she wrote little notes of things that she needed to do. And above her on the whiteboard was another rainbow of sticky notes with other tasks. And I thought to myself, shit, I literally hired me. I mean, I'm the ideas person. I'm the notebook having, sticky note loving, CRM hating visionary with her head in the clouds, right? I need somebody to take this and put it on a spreadsheet. And that was not Jenna. So why do we make these mistakes? We typically, I mean, for me, we've disked people, we've done all of the things that you could possibly do when you're hiring someone. How do we make these mistakes? So my 4 common struggles right now, in real time, is that we study assessments. We study personality assessments, DISC assessments, but we still end up hiring the wrong people. Again, Jenna looked great on paper. We also hire people unknowingly, and we unknowingly let them do jobs that frustrate them. So when I think of my staff right now in real time, there are some grumpy people that are not loving their job. The other thing we're struggling with, and I hope this resonates with a lot of you, is that a lot of our ideas on our team, they never get off the ground. Who has an ideas cemetery? Ooh, we have lots of ideas, we're realtors. And we have this idea cemetery, and again, nothing gets off the ground. Or we have a project and nothing gets completed. How many have uncompleted projects? 60 to 70%. That's about my mind share for a project. I'm bored after 70%. You guys fix it. So we do have these grumpy, tired teams, and there's gotta be a solution, right? I started reading a lot of books about leadership, but we're still having these problems. So my operations manager, Terry, calls me one day and she's like, Tina, Caul, I found our solution. I'm like, what is it? She said, I need you to take an assessment. And I was like, oh, not another assessment. I've already taken the DISC. I know my Enneagram, I'm a 3-2. I know my Myers-Briggs. I know my Berkman as of last week. What's the assessment gonna do, Terry? And she's like, trust me. And I put a book on your desk. You have to read it. It's by Pat Lencioni. Who loves Pat and has read The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team? Great, great book. So I do the assessment and take Terry's advice. And so what the assessment shows is that we all have these working competencies, basically. And I came back as an I, D, W, G, E, T. So the I and the D are my 2 working geniuses. And what the I means is that I'm an ideas person. Lock me in a room, tell me your problems, and I'll come up with solutions. I'm an ideas person. The D is the discernment. Bring me your ideas, and I'll follow my gut, and I'll tell you if something is right, and or if it feels wrong. That's just what I love to do. So I should spend 80% of my time on those 2 geniuses. The W and the G is my working competency. So that is where I don't get joy from it, but I don't feel bad when I do it, and I'm kind of okay at these tasks. One is wonder. And wonder is the person that asks questions, right? Those analytical people on your team, always asking a question. So I can live in wonder. And G is the galvanizer, those people that rally the troops and get people inspired to do things. Those are my working competencies, like being on this stage. I don't love it, I don't hate it, it is what it is, we're doing it. Working frustrations, this is where I should spend no time. And that is E, which is an enabler, and we'll get into what that means. And T, tenacity, which is finishing projects. I should stay away from being a project manager. So I'm gonna get into, again, what these geniuses mean a little bit deeper and give you guys some context around it. So the first one is invention for me. Again, this is the ideas person. Who thinks of themselves as an ideas person? Who wants to be locked in a room and just come up with ideas? Yes, there's a lot of us, especially real estate agents. So you see ideas all the time. And I think that it's a great talent to have. And sometimes we don't think of it as a genius. Sometimes people on our team look at us and like, they're crazy. They never can make up their mind. They're always changing their mind. The genius of discernment. So you assess ideas. The best example I can give you is in a marriage, sometimes you're the ideas person and you run to your partner and you go, I've got an idea. And the first thing they do, and they can't help it, is they start poking holes in your idea, right? Everyone's shaking their head, yes. And you're going, God, you don't support me. You're such a pessimist. And you're like, no, dum-dum, that idea is not gonna work. You're not seeing all the holes, right? I'm following my gut. That's the genius of discernment. The genius of wonder. Again, you see a lot of potential. You ask questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is our real estate team struggling right now? Why are people unhappy? How can we make the buyer transactional process better? You're asking questions all the time, right? Projects start because somebody asked a question. The genius of galvanizing. So this would be like an inspiring leader, somebody who wants to help people take action. Think of like a person on a soccer team, right? The team leader of the soccer team. It's somebody that's going to move the troops and get them inspired. The genius of enablement. Now this one, when I read it, it sounded sort of negative, right? Enablers. We think of that as a negative thing. But these are the most important people on the team, and these are the helpers. So think about when your church says, hey, we have this bake sale. Now I'm running the other way. I don't want to help with the bake sale. But there are people that are like, oh my God, I'll do whatever. What can I do? Can I bake the cookies? Can I sell the cookies? I'm here. Who's an enabler? Who loves helping people? Yeah, you just love helping people. My Jenna should have been that enabler mentality, right? I want to get you a coffee. So they help bring ideas to life. Without these people being the majority on our team, we just can't get projects done. And finally, the tenacity. These are the people, again, that push things to completion. And they're the ones in the background that make sure we don't get to 60%. We get to 100%, we get it done, and we get it right. Typically, that would be an EOS language. That would be your implementer. They're implementing EOS, right? So you have your visionary and your implementer. Your implementer should have T in their genius. So what does it all mean? Now, I'm going to be vulnerable here and tell you guys that this I learned literally 3 weeks ago. So give me some grace if it sounds confusing. I promise you, when you read the book and you do all your things, it's going to be awesome. But what happens is, on a real estate team, in order for the gears to work beautifully, you need to have one of every genius on your team. And what typically happens is you've got 3 stages of workflow. You've got ideation, activation, and implementation. And I'm going to show you on the next slide. It'll probably make a little more sense how that works. So every idea, we said, starts with somebody asking a question. How can we do this? How can we make this better? And so you're 30,000 feet above, right, flying an airplane. And somebody, that's where those ideas live. And then your ideas person go, okay, I got it. I'm going to take that question, and I'm going to go ideate. I'm going to come up with something. The next thing is, and this is where my team messed up, and I'll explain it a little bit. The next thing is that discerner, or the discerners on your team, take those ideas and they come up with the one that's going to work. The next thing they do is we settle on a project and we go, okay, this is our idea, this is what's going to work. We call the galvanizers and we get them to go and promote the project, right? Promote the event, whatever the mission is. The galvanizer enlists all the enablers, and finally the tenacity people, they're landing the plane. Now how it's supposed to look is literally you're 30,000 feet above and you're flying that plane and you're doing all your things in the right order and you land it and nobody had to take out their barf bags. That's the perfect way that you run a project. What happened on my team, and I wish that was closer so I could point to it, is my first integrator, the person that was supposed to take my ideas to bring them to fruition, she was a GE. I am an ID, so I'm at 25,000 feet, literally sitting at a table with her and talking about our problems, right? We're wondering, how is this happening? How can we make this better? And then I go into, oh my gosh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. Her little brain's going, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Pick one, because I'm going to take it and run with it. And so what she would do is she would take my ideas. If I said the word, hey, we should start a mentorship program, in a week we had a mentorship program. The problem was it was a shitty first draft. And so the mentorship program, in my mind, sucked because we didn't take time to sit and really make sure that it was perfect. So they actually coined it Tina's shitty first draft. If you do something with her, she's gonna change it. So it made me feel like I was the one that was never happy. It made her feel like the ideas never were good enough. But what really needed to happen was we needed to slow down, have her either not be part of the conversation, and wait until we had the discernment of the activity or the mentorship program so we could vet it, we could poke holes in it, and we could make sure that it was ready to go and packaged. Then we could have gave it to this person and had her run with it. So when you have things out of order, for instance, if we're at 5,000 feet on a project and we're ready to land the plane, and somebody like me in a meeting goes, oh, I have an idea. All of a sudden we go from 5,000 feet way back up to 25,000 feet. And that's when the barf bags come out on a real estate team, right? Because we're going from here to here. So the visionaries on the team, they ruin everything when we're trying to land the plane, right? And the reverse is we're in an ideation meeting. We're creating, we're the wonderers and the ideators and the discerners, they're together. And all of a sudden, the tenacity people are going, mentorship program? Okay, what are we gonna do? What are the steps? And we go from 25,000 feet up here where we're all having fun, and we go right to give me the tactical. And that's also disruptive. And so again, if you don't know the people that you have on your team and they're working genius, things get confusing and nothing ever fits. And so when I saw this, I thought it was genius. I mean, it changed the way the last 3 weeks of our workflow have been literally on point. So I've left the names off of our team, but what I want you to imagine is at the top, you would say like Tina and Sally and Bob and Fred, and that is gonna be your team map. You're gonna be able to go home and basically take these assessments, even in your family, and I'll tell you how that actually worked for my son. But you're gonna be able to go home and see who works for you and what is their genius. And you should absolutely make sure that everyone's working in their green zone, their first two geniuses, because they're gonna be happier. They're gonna wanna come to work. They're not gonna be grumpy. So everyone needs to work in that green zone. The competency, again, it's nice to have it. You're gonna ask sometimes a task from people that maybe is in their working competency. That's okay, 20% of the time. But what you're really gonna wanna do is look at everybody in your family and on your team, because this even works for Christmas dinners. Make sure people aren't working in their frustrations. So Kevin and I, for instance, we fight about who's gonna pay the bills. That's a tedious task. It's a check off the box. It's a fill out the paperwork. We both have tenacity in our working frustrations, and so we fight about those things. So I really think it's important. The one thing I want to leave you guys with is this. My son is 18 years old, and him and I speak a different language. He's a great kid, and we did this test for him, and he's trying to pick out what am I supposed to do in school. And so he is a GE, meaning he's a galvanizer. He likes to inspire people. He's always been a team captain. People follow him. He's just a natural leader. And E is helper. So when we sat down with his counselors, we actually looked at which jobs would be great for Michael one day. Counselor, anything to do with psychology, helping people, but we can't put him in a box and we can't put him in a cubicle. Because if we tell Michael, hey, you're gonna do the same thing every single day, you're checking off boxes and you have to sit in this cubicle, he's never gonna be happy. Can he learn to do those tactical tasks? Sure, but he won't be happy. And I think that a lot of us don't understand what really drives us, and we don't stay in that lane. So my next slide, when I found this slide, I actually cried the first time I saw it. It was probably 3 years ago. And when I was in elementary school, people put me in a box. And they said, everybody learns the same way. Everybody takes the same test, and we grade you all based on that. And so I was a terrible test taker. I used to get C's and D's. I did graduate high school, but I wasn't a great student. And I left thinking I was a dum-dum. Literally, I was stupid. But looking at everybody's genius, I don't feel that way today, because everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it was stupid. So I didn't need tests. I needed more water. I was a fish, and I was asked to climb a tree. So I encourage you all to look around in your families, in your workplace, in your groups. I don't care if it's at church. Have everybody take this assessment and really, really focus on divvying out tasks to people that are going to enjoy doing what they need to do. So you guys can scan that if you want to buy the book. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that that was understandable.